Hello, in this video I'm going to talk to you about how you change your CV from something that looks like this to something that looks like this. And if you watched the last video, I talked about a program called Canva. So we're going to have a look at that and how it works. So when you go to Canva and you create an account, you are then able to use that program for free to create all sorts of different documents. So if we have a look across the top here, you can see we could do a social media post, an A4 document, an event, or over here we have a resume, and there's heaps more. There's a lot that you could do. So we will go straight into resume and have a look at that. So it does start with a blank page, and we could work primarily with that blank page and build our own. But what is probably easier is starting with something that is already done that we can just change up a little bit to suit our own purposes. So I've used this style quite a number of times, and it's a very easy, simple and effective format to go with. This is another one that stands out to me that would be quite useful. It's a bit interesting. It's got some visual images, some pictures and things there. So that would appeal to me. Here's another one. It's a little simpler, quite basic compared to the other ones. But if you like something a little bit more simple, that's also a good option. Again, it has that sort of 2/3, 1/3 breakup on the page, which I do find really useful just for formatting reasons. You can go with something like this, which well, again, even that one, although it looks like it's split across horizontally across the page, it is split vertically as well. So that's also quite a good one. Something like this I would probably steer away from, because you can see it's got a lot of white space. And like I said to you, you really want to try and contain your resume to one page. So you're wanting to fill up all of that white space and not have it wasted on the page. So I would stay away from something like that. And here again is another one that I've used a few times. Probably if you're wanting something that's a little more wordy, that's a good option. So for example, this little paragraph that you can write about yourself, absolutely give that a go. It's just something a bit personal about you. But as I said in the other video, when you're sending in a CV, you've got to expect someone's not going to spend more than 2 minutes to read it. The nicely written stuff is what you're going to put in your letter that accompanies it. So if they like your CV, they'll go on to read your letter. If they don't like your CV, chances are they won't even look at your letter. But again, I like the way that that's broken up in the 2/3, 1/3. Probably maybe a bit too much colour for my mind. I also would not use this photo. I would not use a funny photo. It's not appropriate for what you're trying to do with a job application. I would stick with something much more formal. A simple headshot, as I said previously, like your school photo is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't use this photo either. It's a bit too far away, it's a bit too casual. If you're going to put a photo on there, make it one that is useful, much like this one suggests, where it is just a headshot. Okay, that's all you're wanting to put on. Alright, I think we'll use this one for the purposes of what we're doing today. So if you are going to use this one, it's got a frame in here already, which is really useful for you. So here's a photo I've got of myself. Oh, we'll do that differently. I'm just going to drag it and put it straight into the frame. So it's very quick and easy. If I want to change how that looks, for example, it's cutting off the top of my head a little bit, and maybe I want it a little bit bigger. I'm just going to do that, and I have a headshot on there. Very quick and easy. it's going to sit within that frame. If I move it around, it's all going to go with me. All right, so maybe I do not like this color of pink, so it's as simple as highlighting it and changing the color that I want it to be. So perhaps I like this green, but maybe I think it's a bit full on. So if I've got that green selected, I can then come in here and say, well, I want something a little bit paler. So maybe, and even maybe a bit grey. All right, so maybe I want something a bit like that. Excellent. So that has changed it very quickly. And then I want to change this also. And I'm going to make it match. That color has stayed selected now in there. So it's very quick and easy to change it. All right, so I'm looking at this now and I might decide that the black is still perhaps a little bit hard to read on there. So I can have a play around and say, do I want it to be black or do I want it to be white? And the white's not really a lot better. So this is what publishing of a document is all about. You really are trying to tinker around with it until it's the way that you want it to be. Okay, so what I think is probably that this green is still a little bit dark because it is a bit hard to see. So if I'm going to stay in the same sort of type of green there, I still want it to look, that's probably a bit better. And what I might do is this looks a little bit washed out on here, so I might actually go and just make it a little bit darker. So they're within that same family of green, so they're still working together, but I've just made it a little bit darker. And what I can do is then change my other headings as well. So I might say that I want these the same color. And that will just flow in. All right, so you're going to tinker around with it. You can then get your Word document up and I can say, right, so I want to have, these were my key strengths. So I'm going to copy those and I'm going to put them down here. I'm going to take out that box. I'm going to make this box bigger. And I'm going to take all the content that was in it. And I'm going to replace it with the content from my document. All right, so once I've got it in there, I then will need to tinker around a little bit with it. So I've got leadership. Now the other thing, sometimes you might have to ungroup things that are being put together. To regroup them again, it's just highlight and then group. In this case, I just want to get rid of those ones. I'll group those ones back up again. All right, they haven't grouped the text with the headers, but again, you can very easily do that just by selecting them, group, and now I can move that around anywhere. And I can still change the information that's in there. So if I want this one to be education, if I want this one to be licenses, for example, maybe I've got, no, perhaps I'll have experience. And I might put my experiences in there. All right, so from here you're really changing it however you feels right to you. We've just skipped a few steps by starting with a template so that we're not having to start from scratch. I would probably suggest 8.5 is a bit small. Remembering this is shrunk right down so we can see the whole page, but you're really probably wanting to stay with around about size 10 or 11. We don't necessarily want that bold. And I'm going to find my headings there again. So we had leadership, we had teamwork, we have IT skills, I can then go in and highlight that. I can also make that all caps. Nope. And when I did all caps, that's applied to all of it. I don't want it to apply to all of it. So again, I could make these in separate boxes. I'd then be able to do that all caps. Doesn't matter too much. If I change whatever's in that box in terms of the text size and the capitals, it is going to change all of it at once. So I would need to do it as a separate box, much like this one. So where I've got 3 boxes here, one with each layer in it, and that allows me to do different things, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. All right. So I would continue transferring my information from my resume into my Word document, into this document. I might decide, depending on how much information I've got, I might actually decide that this section here is a bit too wide for what I need. So if I wanted to get some more space on this side, it would just be a matter of moving everything over a little bit. It gives you guiding lines to show when everything's lined up. So that makes it very quick and easy. So I can see that that's now centered vertically. I might put that up a little bit higher. I might then put my personal details in under there. And when I come to this particular aspect, if we take the one that I grouped together, we could make that bigger. All right, and then it just fills that space a little bit better. And then we would just move over the general text. All right, so it's really up to you about how it looks once you start putting it together, but everything you need is there. Different text, so you've got different types of headings there. If you don't want something, you just select it and bin it. If you've got multiple things the same color, you can very quickly change those. So if I made that purple, down here I could say make all the black purple, and then it's all changed to purple, so I don't have to do each individual part. Elements allows you to put in various things. The useful ones in here would be frames, so that's how we did the photo. You select whichever frame suits for you. So if you wanted a square one, you could use a square one. If you want a square with rounded edges, if you wanted something a little bit fancy, or you just want your circle or a circle with a border, there's all sorts of options there. If you are wanting to put in your photo, you go to your uploads, you upload your own image, and you just drag it across. If you want to put in backgrounds, you can do that. That is going to change the background. And it's all very easy to do. So have a play around with it, have some fun. Don't forget to proofread it really carefully. Thanks for listening.